Reba McEntire, or simply Reba, is an American country music singer and actress. Dubbed the Queen of Country, she has sold more than 75 million records worldwide. Since the 1970s, McEntire has placed over 100 singles on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart, 25 of which reached the #1 spot. She is an actress in films and television. Reba is currently a judge on The Voice. She also starred in the television series Reba, which aired for 6 seasons. She also owns several businesses, including a clothing line. One of 4 children, McEntire was born and raised in Oklahoma. With her mother's help, she and her siblings formed the Singing McEntires, which played at local events and recorded for a small label. McEntire later enrolled at Southeastern Oklahoma State University and studied to become a public school teacher. She also continued to occasionally perform and was heard singing at a rodeo event by country performer Red Steagall. Drawn to her singing voice, Steagall helped McEntire secure a country music recording contract with Polygram/Mercury Records in 1975. She relocated to Nashville, Tennessee, with her mother that year. Over the next several years, Polygram/Mercury released a series of McEntire's albums and singles, which amounted to little success. In the early 1980s, McEntire's music gained more momentum through several top 10 country songs, including Up to Heaven, I'm Not That Lonely Yet, and her first #1 Can't Even Get the Blues. Yet McEntire became increasingly unhappy with her career trajectory and signed with MCA Records in 1984. Her second MCA album, titled My Kind of Country, became her breakout release, spawning 2 #1 Billboard country singles and pointed towards a more traditional musical style. Through the 1980s, McEntire released 7 more studio albums and had 10 more #1 country hits. Her #1 singles included One Promise Too Late, The Last One to Know, and the Grammy Award-winning Whoever's in New England. In 1991, McEntire lost 8 of her band members in a plane crash in San Diego, California. The experience led to McEntire's critically acclaimed album For My Broken Heart, which is her highest-selling album to date. She followed it with several commercially successful albums during the 1990s, including Read My Mind, What If It's You and If You See Him. These albums featured the #1 country singles The Heart Is a Lonely Hunter, How Was I to Know, and a duet with Brooks and Dunn called If You See Him/If You See Her. McEntire's acting career began in January 1990 when she made her film debut in Tremors. In 2001, she played the role of Annie Oakley in the Broadway musical Annie Get Your Gun. The same year, the WB launched the TV series Reba, in which she starred. Since 2023, McEntire has been featured as a coach on The Voice. McEntire was born in McAlester, Oklahoma, in 1955 but was raised on a ranch in Chalky, Oklahoma. She was the third of 4 children born to Clark and Jacqueline McEntire. Her grandfather, John Wesley McEntire, was a world champion steer roper in 1934, while her father held the same title 3 times. Jacqueline McEntire had aspirations of becoming a country singer, but instead became a public school teacher, librarian and secretary. While her mother was tender and loving, her father had trouble showing affection. When we were growing up, I used to regret that Daddy never told us that he loved us, she recalled in her autobiography. The McEntire family owned a cattle ranch in Chalky. Each family member contributed to running the cattle operation. The McEntire children helped with ranch chores before and after school. This included castrating bulls and giving them worm medicine. The McEntire siblings also developed an interest in singing, which was encouraged by their mother. On car trips to their father's rodeo dates, Jacqueline McEntire taught her children to sing in harmony with one another. Young Reba then started performing at school, beginning in 1st grade when she sang Away in a Manger at an elementary school Christmas pageant. In 5th grade, she joined the 4-H club and won 1st place in the junior act division for singing My Sweet Little Alice Blue Gown. She also played basketball and ran track. For several summers, she attended a basketball camp. She also learned piano and guitar. She also developed an interest in the rodeo and trained to become a barrel racer. By high school, the McEntire siblings had been frequently performing. Together, they formed a trio which they called the Singing McEntires. In 1971, the trio released a single about their famous grandfather called The Ballad of John McEntire. It was pressed as a single by a local label and was issued in small numbers regionally. The trio eventually included a backing band which performed at local functions. The group was later named the Kiowa High School Cowboy Band. They also had paying gigs at bars at dance halls in nearby Oklahoma City. We were a bunch of kids barely in puberty who didn't get to bed until almost daylight after some of our shows, McEntire remembered. The band parted ways once Reba's brother graduated high school. In 1973, McEntire graduated from Kiowa High School. Once finishing high school, McEntire enrolled in college at Southeastern Oklahoma State University. She majored in elementary education with a minor in music. She completed student teaching and later graduated with a bachelor's degree. She also continued to help out on her family's ranch during her college years. In 1974, McEntire's father encouraged her to take a job opportunity singing the Star-Spangled Banner at the National Finals Rodeo in Oklahoma City. She contacted family friend and rodeo announcer Clem McSpadden, who helped her get hired for the gig. Following one of her performances, McEntire was heard by country artist Red Steagall, who was impressed by her singing. Reba, her siblings and her mother later joined him at a hotel party the same week. At the hotel, Reba performed an a cappella version of Dolly Parton's Joshua. Jacqueline McEntire asked Steagall if he was able to help get all her children a recording contract. After going back to Nashville, Steagall contacted her in early 1975 and said, "I can't take all three, but I could take Reba. She's got something a little different." In March 1975, and accompanied by her mother, McEntire embarked on a trip to Nashville, Tennessee, to record a demonstration tape that Steagall hoped to pass along to record labels. At the start of the trip, she was unsure about pursuing a professional country music career. McEntire recalled in her autobiography continually making excuses for her mother to stop the car instead of traveling to Nashville. After noticing her daughter's fear, Jacqueline McEntire told her, "Now Reba, let me tell you something. If you don't want to go to Nashville, we don't have to do this. But I'm living all my dreams through you." The conversation changed her mind and they continued on to Nashville. After recording a demo, McEntire's tape was heard by Glenn Keener of Polygram/Mercury Records, who was interested in signing her to a Nashville contract. Keener brought McEntire's tape and another female's tape to Polygram's Chicago headquarters. The label informed Keener that he could only sign one female performer. "He looked at the two tapes in his hand and handed him mine," McEntire told Entertainment Weekly. In November 1975, McEntire signed a country music recording contract with Polygram/Mercury Records. She made her first recordings for the label in January 1976. She was produced by Glenn Keener and was backed by a Countrypolitan arrangement that included a string section. McEntire's debut single was released in 1976 titled "I Don't Want to Be a One-Night Stand." The track failed to become a major hit, only peaking at number 88 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart that May. It was followed by the low-charting Billboard country singles Between a Woman and Man and Glad I Waited Just for You. Mercury issued her self-titled debut album in 1977. In his album review, Greg Adams of AllMusic compared it to the country crossover style of Barbara Mandrell and Tammy Wynette. McEntire also began touring and performing more frequently. Without a band of her own, she often relied on house bands to accompany her. In some instances, the backing bands did not know country music and McEntire would have to fill her time on stage with jokes. Well, Reba McEntire is mourning the loss of her mother Jacqueline, who died Saturday. Our mother, Jacqueline McEntire, made that wonderful crossover into heaven today. She had a wonderful, full, healthy life and was absolutely ready to go. The cancer might think it won the battle, but we're giving God all the credit on selecting the time for her to go home to Him, the country star announced on social media. She was ready to see our daddy, her mama and daddy and all her family and friends. Down here, Alice, Paige, Susie and I, grandkids and great-grandkids all got to visit with her either in person or over the phone. She left knowing how much she is loved, and we all know how much she loved us. We are very thankful for all the prayers, cards, calls, visits, the caregivers with their huge hearts, and the time God gave us with Mama, Jackie, Jack, Ms. McEntire, Mama, Mama Jack, Momo Jack, Grandma, Grandma Jack, whatever the title was at the time, she gave you her undivided attention. We're all going to miss her, but we have so many wonderful memories. Thank you, Lord, for that. Well, guys, don't forget to share and subscribe now. Thanks for watching.